All right, number 2, we are given a function that is not in vertex form, and we want to convert it first to vertex form, and then we can solve and answer those other questions. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to write down this equation without the f of x because we need to set it equal to 0. So that is x squared minus 12x plus 35, all right, equals 0. Now, there is a list of steps for completing this square. You can find some online, but hopefully you can follow the process by my explanation. So first, you're going to move the constant term over to the other side. If it's positive, you subtract it. If it's negative, you would add it. So this is positive. We're going to subtract it and move it over. So first step, I'll have x squared minus 12x. And then I'm going to put plus a blank spot because I'm going to have to add something there. And then I'm going to move the 35 over, and it's going to be a negative 35. All right, and I'm also going to do plus a blank spot over here because whatever you add to one side, you have to add to the other side. All right, so what is it that we add? You take your middle term, the b value. Now you start if that's if this term is a 1. Your leading coefficient is a 1. Sometimes we'll have to factor something out. In this case, we don't. So since we don't have to factor anything out, we're going to take our middle term that's next to the x with the exponent of 1, and we're going to divide by 2 and square it. Okay, so that is negative 12 divided by 2, and we're going to square it. All right, so I'm going to divide by 2, and it's going to give me a negative 6 squared. All right, so this is what I'm adding, negative 6 squared. On the left side, I'm going to leave it just like that, negative 6 squared. And then negative 6 squared actually is 36. So one side I'm going to leave it. This is 36, and the other side I'm actually going to evaluate it so that I can simplify. On this side, leaving it like this helps us to factor it really easily. You're going to take the two terms that have a square, put them in parentheses together, and the square on the outside. So that is x, and then minus 6. So this side is factored. If you go back and FOIL this, you will see that that negative 12 is there, and that you get 36. So this is just a shortcut to factoring. And then it is equal to 1. And then lastly, we're going to move that 1 back over. So we're going to subtract 1. So your function in vertex form is going to be x minus 6 squared minus 1. So this is the formula in vertex form. And then we'll answer all of those questions that come with it. So our vertex, if you recall from problem 1, whatever you have in here is going to be opposite sign. So we're going to write down a positive 6 instead of a negative 6. On the outside, a negative 1. So here's our vertex. Axis of symmetry is going to be x equals the x-coordinate of 6. Now, the a value out front is a positive 1. Positive opens up, gives us a minimum. So we'll have a minimum value here of negative 1. And then we're also going to have to graph it here. So we'll do that on the graph. So the vertex occurs at 6, negative 1. All right, the equation for the axis of symmetry, x equals 6. The parabola will have a minimum value of negative 1. And now we want to graph this. Okay, so because we have x squared, that's our biggest power exponent, we know that we're going to have a parabola. So you have to click that image, And then I will go to the graph and plot the vertex. So I'm going to go to 6, and you can see the order pair up here in the right corner. So I'm going to go to 6, and then -1. So that's that is our vertex. Now we need another point. So I'm going to use this factored form right here and plug in a number that will be easy to work with. So I have to subtract 6. So I want to try to get this to be a 1. So that means I'm going to let x equal 7. It's going to be easy to work with because 7 minus 6 is going to give us 1. So what we do, 7 minus 6 squared minus 1, this is going to give us our y value. So x is 7, you can pick that and solve and find y. This gives you 1. 1 squared. 1 squared is still going to be 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. So x is 7, y is 0. So I'm going to plot that point. So I'm going to go over to 7 and plot a 0. And then it shows a parabola. We're going to save it. And you can pick any point you want. And that should get you what you need.